Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the podcast arena. Coming to the ring at this time...
Oh, you didn't know? Your ass better call somebody!
First, representing This Week in Geek, and from parts unknown, he is Mike, the Birdman, Don.
I am one hardcore D-O-double-D. I'm a nice man. I'm a nice man.
His tag team partner, representing the Geekcast radio network, and hailing from the outer reaches of your mind, he is Mike, TFG1 Blanchard.
I got 4 words for you. Check out my ass.
And from the Great White North, here is your special guest referee, Ryan, the UnEvenFlow.
The mountain always gets his man.
You are listening to Mayhem Mics. And now, let's get ready to podcast!
So go ahead, take a bow. We'll give you a hand. And in return, bear witness to another epic SummerSlam. Ah! It just feels so damn good.
And now, Cricket Wireless and MLB Tap Sports Baseball 18 present WWE SummerSlam.
Hello and welcome to Mayhem Mics. This is episode 46, and it's the end of the summer, everybody. That means it's SummerSlam time. Yay! Joining me, as always, Ryan, the UnEvenFlow Merkley. Hello, sir.
Hooray! This is going to be a podcast where I don't have much negative to say.
Yeah, I'll tell you this, folks. The last 2 months of 2018, hell, I'll say the last 8 months of 2018.
We started the year with Jinder Mahal as champion.
Exactly. Like...
So, I mean, there was nowhere to go but up. But really...
Yeah. I absolutely loved SummerSlam. I've loved moments from all of the pay-per-views so far this year. And yes, there are going to be those go to the bathroom, take a nap kind of matches in every single pay-per-view. SummerSlam has them too, and we'll go through that here in a little bit. But I was not more excited for SummerSlam than I was for I was as excited for this year's SummerSlam as I was for WrestleMania 24 when they had it outdoors in Florida. Like, it's been up and down roller coaster for the last year or so for WWE. Hell, since the podcast has begun in since we've been doing this podcast for 3 years or whatever it is now, it's been an up and down roller coaster. There hasn't been a straight incline for me specifically for WWE. There have been weeks where I don't even watch Raw or SmackDown or catch up on them the nights the next new episodes are coming or something or whatever. You know, when I was in my previous life before I, got to my senses, found my wife and fell in love and all that other stuff. In 2016, when I was in California, I couldn't watch, because I didn't have a smartphone then, any of the stuff for the entire month or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 weeks that I was there or whatever it was. And when I came back in January of 2017, I binged through the whole month of shows, and I actually liked watching them that way more than having to watch them week to week to week. However, the content just has not. It's been on a straight decline. Our good buddy Alex, Mr. Gravy Moose, Mr. Producer, whatever you want to call him at This Week in Geek, says that WWE is boring. WWE equals boring. And I guess that's fine. He's entitled to that opinion, and that's fine. That's his opinion. I gotta say, this week, or this last week, the Raw and SmackDown go-home shows, SummerSlam and the Raw and SmackDown after shows have really renewed my interest.
This has been their best week in a while, and it started with the NXT pay-per-view was completely amazing. I say this every time, but I mean, they just keep being great. This one might have been their best one again, and it had a number of fantastic matches, and I wondered how SummerSlam was going to... I said it on the last show. I wasn't really looking forward to it, but I was wrong, and... Like I said on the pre-show, I'll quote somebody on the internet who I don't always agree with, but do in this case what he said: if you really disliked SummerSlam, you're just looking for reasons to dislike things. Because it was pretty good. So the pre-show, by the way, I didn't watch it. It was 3 roll-ups in a row.
Yeah, I didn't either.
So, whatever. And... said it before, I'll say it again. I don't care about the commentary. We talked about this just before we started recording. The back and forth about who's going to win doesn't work in wrestling because it's not an unscripted event. I don't care if the Big Show's reach is 10 times Daniel Bryan. If Vince McMahon wants Daniel Bryan to win, Daniel Bryan wins. Mm-hmm. So there's no point in discussing... Yeah. Oh, how is he going to counter the pedigree? Well, if he's not allowed to do it by the boss, then he can't do it. So, oh well. But yeah, so meh. And we opened with, man, did they open with a great match. So they opened with Seth Rollins and Dolph Ziggler.
Yep. With
Dean Ambrose and, of course, Drew McIntyre in Ziggler's corner. And, this might have been their best match between the two of them, despite having extra people involved, too. I was really impressed. It was a great opener. And Seth Rollins won, by the way, to become champ.
Yeah, it was an amazing opener. This is the best I've seen Dolph perform since he's been signed to the company, I think.
Well, he hasn't been signed for about a year now.
I'm saying...
I'm just saying, he's on a appearance-based deal. He doesn't actually have a contract with the company.
Okay, but I'm just saying, as long as I've seen him in WWE, this is the best match he's done far.
I don't know. He's had some better ones much earlier. But since this most recent contract dispute, or whatever you want to call it at this point, this is one of his better ones. And he's a great performer. But when you stick him with somebody who's Rollins' caliber, it definitely helps. And he was definitely motivated. He has been through this whole run. He's been terrific since he's come back with McIntyre. But yeah, I think this is his best performance in that time. And just a bunch of really good moves. The only negative I have of the entire thing is I feel like if you do a reverse suplex off the top rope, followed by a second one off of, just on the... when you roll through and hit him with another slam, that should probably be a 3 count. Yeah. I know it's not his finisher, but geez.
Yeah, that was rough.
That was really nice. And whatever. I'm nitpicking, though. They got both Drew and Dean, the 2 Ds, involved in the match in a really good way that made sense and didn't take anything away from it. So everything worked really well.
This is the way you have matches where your accompaniment people come out, your partners come out, but they only interfere with each other. They're not interfering with the match. They're preventing the other person from interfering with the match and getting a DQ for whomever.
Yeah, there was some minor stuff to remind you that they were there, but they didn't. Yeah, exactly. No, it wasn't through the whole thing.
I mean, Dean, man, he looks so good now. We've only seen him one match at this point, which we'll talk about later on Raw, but, so friggin' good. I can't wait to see more with him. As you said, Seth wins. I'm kind of glad Seth won. I don't know if I'm sure they'll do another rematch thing or whatever. I don't know how, because this to me felt like the final match for this. Because Seth had said in the Go Home show, "Oh, I'm tired of the 2-on-1 and the this and the that. So, you have a psychopath, I have a lunatic." So I don't know if this is the actual go-home match for this feud, but this felt like it could be.
I'll be curious if they end up with some sort of Strowman, Drew, Ziggler team to try to counter the Shield eventually. But for now, I think this will be the last. And unfortunately, the next match also involves somebody we've seen the last of for some time.
Sadly, yes.
Yeah, so I don't know what to give this match at the time. So it was New Day versus Bludgeon Brothers for the SmackDown Tag titles.
Right.
The Bludgeon Brothers retain when they lose via DQ against the New Day. But the big news is that Rowan got injured during the match pretty severely, and he's out for quite some time, 4 to 6 months, they're saying. And so, who knows if this is I assume this was the planned end to the match, but who knows for sure.
I assume because then the next night, New Day wins it off of them.
No, that was because of the injury.
Right.
My question is whether or not I expect that they were going to do a Hell in the Cell match.
Yeah, that
between
cool.
them, but that's obviously not going to happen.
Yeah.
And injuries. It's unfortunate because I feel like Harper and Rowan were starting to get going. I think their beginning was kind of meh, and it was hard to care about them because all they did was have them beat jobbers or local talent, quote unquote, week after week. Then they sort of just win the titles. Yeah. And since then,
I like them together. I like the shtick of the Bludgeon Brothers because it's a way of doing something with the former Wyatt family members without having to have Bray do the whole Wyatt family over again and just have them in his wing steps or his wingtips or whatever. I like Rowan on his own, but I don't like Harper on his own. So with Rowan
I'm
injured,
the opposite. I thought Harper in his match, remember, against Randy Orton months ago, I thought showed an awful lot on his own. That was before Rowan came back months ago. That was almost a year ago, I think. But anyway.
I think that was a year ago, yeah.
Yeah, before the injury and before the DQ, this was a pretty solid match, though, with the New Day getting in a good amount of offense, and I don't know, it was well done.
What's going on with the New Day?
Oh.
Because it seemed like Big E was off by himself on Raw the next night. It seemed like...
You mean SmackDown, but anyway. Well,
whatever.
they were playing up the injured ribs. Maybe they just didn't want to have him interfere, or who knows. Or maybe he was actually injured. I mean, God knows. We had one guy hurt in the match. We could have had more. There was an awful lot of...
That's true.
Pretty hard, rough offense in that.
Yeah.
Stuff like Woods hitting an elbow drop on the floor. We had a bunch of...
Yeah, I mean, this match was crazy. It was absolutely crazy, and it was fun, and it looked like it was going to kill somebody. And
they had a crucifix bomb. They had the sit-down power bomb just after as well. Like, a lot of high-impact moves, so who knows.
Next up, we had Braun Strowman versus Kevin Owens. Now, one thing I want to say before we get too far into this, besides the fact that Kevin looked like a rag doll, there are actually two people, a men's division and a women's division person that basically got rag doll across the whole event at SummerSlam.
Well, three actually. We'll get to that though.
Okay, but Kevin Owens, have they told him, or is he decided, or what's the deal? Because he hasn't been using the pop-up powerbomb a lot lately.
Oh, I have no idea. My guess is... Well, he's just been losing a lot lately. My guess is, as much as I hate to say it, because I love the guy, his days of being a top performer seem to be done for whatever reason. Well, when I say for whatever reason, I mean Vince.
Of course.
It's not a secret that Vince doesn't like him.
Yeah.
We saw it on other shows.
Yeah.
And I think that he's just sort of comic relief now, and he's going to... This is, as much as I hate to say it, about all for him, which sucks because he's very much capable of being the top guy in the company, but whatever. If they don't see that, it's not going to happen. So
sadly, yeah.
Yeah, he just signed a new deal, too, and he's getting paid a lot of money, so I hope he enjoys it. But yeah, I don't think we'll see him. He might get a title match here or there, but he's never going to seriously compete for a belt again, probably, which is blah. Yeah, and he gets absolutely buried in this one. It was the right ending. I mean, Strowman had to win this.
Yeah.
So I don't have a problem with that. But to just kill Owens and
they basically just ran him over.
Yeah, give him absolutely no offense was weird. And maybe they were looking for a reason to get him off TV, and that's it. But I suspect that, we've seen the last of him being a serious competitor for a long time, which really stinks.
That really sucks, because I remember the last episode we did, we had said something about Kevin. God, now I can't remember. God, that's so bad.
Wasn't that long ago?
I know, right? That's so... God. Yeah, I lost it. I think Braun winning was good. I don't like the idea of... I don't like the idea of Kevin not being on there, because there's only two people right now, really, in my mind, that have ever really, quote-unquote, interacted with the crowd three, with the crowd during the match. Like, Braun will say a lot of stuff to the crowd sometimes, every now and then, not much. But Kevin was always the one, up until recently, he would always, react to the crowd.
Yeah, he's just entertaining, and I remember some of his worst, quote unquote, matches he's had, and they've still been entertaining. And his worst segments and his best stuff is just great. I mean, the Festival of Friendship is one of those segments that's going to be remembered for a long time, I think, by fans who watched it. So whatever, but it's the right outcome, but wrong way to do it.
I know what I was going to say. It wasn't about Owen specifically. Last episode you had said, SummerSlam is going to be 7 hours. It was 4 hours and 2 minutes and something. Yeah. But at times, around the 2 hour, 30-minute mark, I felt like crap.
I was close. It was 6 hours with the pre-show.
With the pre-show, yeah. Up next, we had the SmackDown Live Women's Championship Triple Threat, Becky, Charlotte, and Carmella. This is by far the best Carmella's look.
I know. How the hell was this match this good? It was actually a good match. I mean, so you have to take the end into consideration, but without it, even, this was solid. I was impressed, and the ending was terrific, with Becky attacking Charlotte Flair, who won, and the fans just absolutely were not having Becky as a heel. I mean, the fans were just cheering her like crazy, and they were booing when they... I still remember that scene of Charlotte crying on the floor, and the fans are booing her like crazy. Mm-hmm. It sounded like Roman came out. It was brutal. So that was amusing. But yeah, surprisingly good match. And Carmella did pretty well.
Yeah, she did.
And if I'm going to give her shit when it's not good or the matches aren't good and she's a big part of it, then I got to give her credit when the matches are good and she was a good part of it. It helps, obviously, that Becky and Charlotte are extremely talented. Yeah. But Charlotte's been away for quite some time. And Becky, she's worked with Carmella a couple times, but it hasn't been as solid as this was. So props to all three.
Yeah, I absolutely love this match. I love what they're setting up with Charlotte and Becky. And
this could have been a bathroom break match or something like that.
It could have been, but I would say that almost, not necessarily in a bad way, but a good way, Braun versus Owens was a bathroom break. Because, he basically, 10-wheel trucked over him.
Yeah, there was no question as to who was going to win.
Yeah, exactly. And here, even though it is
Poor Owens, by the way, I forgot to mention this. He literally bounced off of that entrance ramp on that choke slam.
Yes, he did. That was not good at all.
No, that's gotta hurt. They need to give him some time off. He's been thrown off a cage. He's thrown off the top of the ladder.
That's why they're burying him, apparently.
I guess. He wasn't on Raw. Anyway.
I don't know.
But back to the women. As I said before, just really good and surprisingly good. If you'd told me it would be another solid match on this card before this, I would have wondered what the hell you're talking about.
Yeah.
But I was wrong. A very good job, and the ending works for me.
Absolutely.
I like Becky Lynch, and she's right. They should do something with her.
It's doing something with her, and it's getting Charlotte back in on something without having to involve any of the other women's division superstars, because they've done this all the time. You already mentioned the Festival of Friendship. You know, they've done the best friend breakup, and Charlotte and Becky have been, attached at the hip for the longest time. Well, let's see what they're like when they're feuding with each other.
We'll counteract this with the crappy Boss Bailey feud, which has been done terribly.
Is that even still a thing? Because
they're back as a tag team now.
Yeah, see,
But I was just saying, when it happened, this has been done much better.
Oh yeah.
As I hiccup. All right, to the next match, which, holy cow.
AJ versus Samoa Joe for the WWE Championship. I have one note. WOWWW. Wow. I could not believe this match.
I knew it was going to be a good match. That doesn't surprise me, because these two guys have worked together a bunch of times, and they're two of the best. What I didn't expect has been, over the past couple months, and I'll include SmackDown this week in this as well, Joe has been on point.
Oh, yeah.
His promos have been amazing. He has an intensity that I legitimately believe in, and he was terrific here with his taunting of Styles' family at the start of the match, and then through the match, and then, of course, at the end of the match when AJ just loses it with him. I just love his work here, though. I thought it's been terrific. And again, including the SmackDown segment where he choked AJ out and tells him, I know he said he was going to be there to tuck the kids in, but it looks like Daddy's gone night-night. And then he drops the mic on Styles, by the way.
Yeah.
Oh, so good. I'm really impressed with him. I'm so happy for the guy, because he's been wrestling forever, it seems like. But he was always in, let's be honest, relative obscurity with TNA and Impact.
Yeah.
And
I didn't know about him until Triple H and NXT and all, and I didn't even see his NXT stuff. I just knew when he was coming, and you're like, oh my God, Samoa Joe's being called up, and blah. I'm like, okay, who's this guy now? I'm like, oh, that's Predaking from the Transformers Combiner Wars Prime Wars trilogy thing. I still remember his match with Brock, and I thought that was kind of going to be the high point for him, because he was terrific in that. Yeah,
and
he was.
He legitimately looked like somebody they could have booked to beat him, but of course they didn't.
They didn't, yeah.
But since then, still, he's been really good when they have him on TV. They give him a break for a good couple months there, but...
Yeah. And that's the thing, giving somebody a break without destroying a storyline, or without giving them a storyline to get them off TV, like with Owens, who knows what the hell with this current storyline. Is it to get him off TV? We don't know, whatever. Giving Joe time in between storylines and things like that, I think is perfect, because unless he's going up against somebody that I have loved more, or that I've known, like a John Cena or somebody like that, I absolutely love Joe. I love what Joe does. I love his character. Everything he is, even though it's despicable, like you were saying about the guy with the wedding on NXT, the wedding ring thing.
Oh, Tommaso Ciampa, yeah.
Ciampa, okay. So, like you were saying with Ciampa, that's what Joe is right now on main roster with the AJ storyline, with the whole family thing, and what, he has said stuff and done stuff in this letter thing and all this and all that. Like, I was half expecting him to go over to AJ's family at SummerSlam at some point.
So I think this is obviously, and by the way, Joe wins via DQ, but I think it's pretty clear that the next match will be in the cell between these two.
Oh, yeah.
I'm curious if they'll do the ECW Raven versus, I think it was Sandman. I can't remember. It was Raven versus somebody, where Raven brainwashed his family, and his kid came in a cage match and punched like his own dad. And
oh wow!
wonder if they'll do that. But no, the kids are a little young for that.
Yeah.
Having said that, holy cow, AJ's daughter.
Man,
she's either the world's greatest actress, or actor, whatever term you want to use. Yeah. But at the end, when she said, "Daddy, you're bleeding," holy cow! This was a near perfect match / build.
Yeah.
So yeah, really well done, and another absolute bright spot.
Mm-hmm.
What the hell happened next?
Okay, so no, it's what the hell happened after what happened next is why I say. But even though that match was... Okay, so we go from AJ and Joe and the whole family drama and the comedy, the sincerity of AJ's daughter and all that, to The Miz versus Daniel Bryan.
Oh, I'm talking about the segment, because they followed next with the Elias bit.
Oh, Elias. See, I forgot all about that. I only write down the action.
Where they just have his guitar break.
I know. When I'm taking notes, I do watch the whole pay-per-view, but I only take notes on the match, especially with Elias. I skip that crap.
I love Elias, but that was just weird. I wonder if they were just trying to make up time. I don't know. Don't have a clue where they're going with him.
No clue. So, Miz versus Daniel Bryan, 8 years in the making. I love how the commentary team at the end are like, "What'd she give him? What'd she give him? Oh my God, we don't know." I'm half blind. I didn't have to see. I figured it was brass knuckles.
Yeah, it was brass knuckles, and
I said,
I saw her hand them to him and everything else. I mean, it was clear that he had them, but whatever. The announcers are supposed to assume.
Obviously, yeah.
Actually, hell with it. Since we're mentioning them, by the way, Coachman. Oh no. Jesus!
What'd he do now?
He's just an imbecile. What? And Graves just seems to have given up trying to correct the guy, or all of his he was awful that night, and I feel so bad because I don't like criticizing the commentary, and I know it's not an easy job, and half the time you got Vince yelling at you, but just replace him with Renee at this point.
That would be cool. Don't you dare say bring Saxton back, because
I was about to say for as much garbage as I gave Saxton, at least he doesn't make me want to slam my skull into my keyboard for 10 minutes, because whatever. Anyway, so you brought it up already. Miz wins after cheating, hitting Bryan with brass knuckles. I thought it was the perfect ending to it, because I don't know what it is. This didn't feel like a feud that was going to end with just one match.
Oh, no.
Nor did it feel like a feud that should.
They have 2 more matches.
At least, yeah. And I like this.
Yeah, I love this. I thought this was great. The way this was set up, like Miz being on the set of Miz and Mrs. and all that and everything else, and Bryan coming to the set at one point and attacking Miz and whatever. Like, I love the way this is set up.
And the match itself, too, though. The way they traded each other's moves, with Miz doing Bryan's moves after he does them or before.
Yep. Yeah, because then you have, Michael Cole and Corey Graves, Corey Graves, oh, it's the it kicks. No, it's the yes kicks. He stole those from, no, it's the it kicks. He's the superstar. He is awesome. Like, that was one thing about the commentary. They really got it good on this match. Yeah,
and I just enjoyed how they traded those moves. They traded other moves, too, and the taunts, and they were both really on point with each other. And
Yeah, absolutely. I absolutely love this. And I love the ending because it's what we've come to expect from The Miz. And as soon as I saw that Maurice with Monroe Sky was in the crowd, I'm like, okay, he doesn't have a Miztourage anymore, but he's got his hot wife in the audience in the front row right by the barricade thing.
Oh, as soon as she was there, I knew she was going to get involved.
Oh, exactly. Which is cool because it then sets up what happens on SmackDown with the whole, Miz this and whatever, and Daniel comes out, you're a coward, blah, blah, blah. Maurice interrupts him, and, maybe they should call you Daniel Bella. And then Brie comes out, and I really wanted to see if she was going to hit Maurice. However, I love that she punched Miz in the mouth.
Yeah, probably a little early to get Maurice involved after everything she's been through.
Having the baby,
but yeah, I really liked that. She just comes in and clocks Miz.
Yep.
Now this is well done, and I enjoyed this match. It didn't go exactly the way I had expected, but it probably went better than what I had in my head. So I was really happy with it.
Absolutely. And then we have the Demon King versus Baron Corbin.
So the next squash match of the night. That's what I alluded to, because this was actually shorter.
Yes, it was.
And Corbin got even less offense in. This was weird So first of all, when this match started, I remember I was thinking, oh yeah, right, this match. I was going to go to the bathroom. And then I heard Balor's music, but I heard the demon music rather than his normal theme. And I thought, oh, wait. And I thought this is well done. And the only question I have is what they're going to do with Finn, because they had him, so he had a match against Roman on Raw.
Right, for the Universal Championship.
Which he lost, but it was very competitive.
Yep.
I'm hoping this meant a renewed sort of pushing for Finn.
Yeah,
because he deserves it. This match, I thought, despite the brevity and everything else, he's one of those guys that he just kind of has it. I know I've said that before about him, but I really think it rings true that I can't put my finger on exactly why I cheer the guy, but I absolutely do. And I have a hard time disliking him or anything that he does. So
yeah, I absolutely loved Finn in this. This is the first time since I've known about him that I've actively enjoyed the demon character, because at other times, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but at other times when I saw him, he would come out as himself, and then he would turn into the demon during the promo or during the segment or whatever during the match.
Nope. Anyway.
Okay, well, that's what
It just made sense here, though, and maybe it was absence making the heart grow fonder, because it had been quite some time, but this just worked. And props to Corbin as well, because A, Corbin really kind of ragdolled for him, which can't be easy because he's not a small man. B, Corbin is in the midst of, I would argue, some of his best work at the time since he's come up, and he went along with it, and he did a good job with it. So I'm fairly impressed with him as well, despite a really short match.
Yeah, I'm liking this whole Constable Corbin in the ring thing. However, his cowardly character of Constable Corbin, like the whole sniveling thing about, I'm reporting you to Stephanie, I'm this, I'm that, I'm blah, 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 blah. I don't necessarily like that. It reminds me of Corporate Kane, but a whinier version of Corporate Kane.
Yeah, I think they need to give him the chance to enforce it a little better. We'll see what happens now with Kurt gone.
Yeah.
On a leave.
Yeah.
Quote unquote.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm interested to see where Balor goes from here and what else Constable Corbin will be doing outside of, because I felt like the whole thing on Raw afterwards was just oh, I want the man, I don't want the demon, I'm like, oh God, get over it already, please stop.
Side note before we get into the Jeff Hardy Shinsuke match, after this we also had a promo from Daniel, who was getting his head iced. Mm-hmm. And Bree comes out, and they talk a little bit. I really liked this. Brian his stuff with The Miz has been the best work he's done since he's come back. Yep. Now part of that is because when he came back, the first guy they had him work with is Cass, who I'm not trying to bag on the guy, but he hasn't been doing it as long as some of the other wrestlers, right. And he is a big dude, so to be blunt, Brian's lucky that his career didn't get re-ended by a guy who's fairly new at it. No offense to him, but since then, this has been been the best I've seen him. And he, in this promo where he talks about his return being a bust and his fight to come back and everything just being a waste, I really liked it. And his promo work the next, 2 nights later on SmackDown was terrific, where he comes out and he calls Miz a coward that you mentioned. Yeah. I just really like his work this week. It's been, he's always terrific, but you can tell that this is bringing out the best in both he and Miz.
Absolutely. I love this. I love them going against each other. The only concern I have with the upcoming match at Hell in a Cell, it's Daniel and Bree versus Miz and Maurice. It's a mixed tag match. They did this with Nikki and John, Miz and Maurice, before, when Miz and Maurice were making fun of Total Bellas and they dressed up as John, and that was great. Absolutely love it. That was hilarious. I love that they did that. I think that's great. However, I feel like this is a simple repeat of that. I'm not against it. I'm just stating my opinion of it.
Well, Daniel and Bree aren't going to propose after and then have their relationship kind of just fizzle out. So there's that.
Yeah, no, because they're already married. But the point is I'm like, as soon as I saw that picture, which will be in the post of the promo of the match, I'm like, hey, where have I seen this before? It's not a bad thing. I'm just pointing it out is all. But I love where this is going. I think this is going to be super cool and super fun. And they even so basically, The Miz and Daniel Bryan, this was the first match. The Hell in a Cell match will be second, and then the Super Showdown match will be the finisher or whatever. Because I saw a WWE post an episode where The Miz is like, The Miz versus Daniel Bryan Part 2 at Super Showdown in Australia. They're already advertising a third match.
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
Not surprised either, but I'm just saying.
I was surprised.
Yes.
At Jeff Hardy throwing himself around like a crazy person, because I had heard, or there's been rumors that he's been in rough shape. He stopped doing the swanton at house shows, etc., etc. And then in this one, he does a swanton bomb onto the apron, which, ow, yeah. That looked really painful. Anyway, Nakamura wins this to retain, and we have Randy Orton come out and then just leave. This, I don't like saying this because these are two guys I really like. This was my least favorite match of the evening. I thought it was just kind of a SmackDown match.
Yeah.
It didn't seem that special.
This is very sad to me. I don't know if Jeff is on his way out or what's going on, and we should talk about Matt here in a little bit before we talk about Raw and SmackDown. But it feels to me that they're building with Jeff towards him and Randy thing, and it really feels like the United States champion, Shinsuke Nakamura, is like an afterthought at this point.
Yep. No, he is. And
that's not good. Like, if that was the case, which clearly they're building towards this Randy and Jeff thing, put the belt on Jeff. Have it be Randy and Jeff for U.S. Championship, and give Nakamura something else to do that he can excel at even more than what he already does.
Yeah, this is, I don't know. And so getting into SmackDown again, they had Jeff come out and just absolutely maul Randy Orton.
Yep.
So who knows where it's going. It's been good for Orton, and I think it's been good for Jeff, but you're right. It definitely feels like Shinsuke's just kind of there.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's not good for someone that has a championship belt on them.
Yep. Well, what are you going to do? But this match was just kind of here, and they've had better matches, I feel like, but
yeah, they have.
It still wasn't bad. It just didn't. I think it's a statement of how solid the rest of the card ended up being, that this was the quote-unquote worst.
Yep. Absolutely. Up next, we have the Raw Women's Championship match. Alexa Bliss versus, according to Alex Ricci on This Week in Geek, Lousy Rousey, which he's wrong.
So yeah, our third squash match of the night, by the way.
Yep.
And I was fine with it. Just like the others, I'm fine with the ending. I think every once in a while, too, it's nice to see the heel get their comeuppance, where Alexa, after everything she's done to Ronda, she finally realizes, I'm screwed.
Yeah.
I think it's good to do that once in a while. And as for Rousey, she's taken to this in a way I can't remember seeing since Kurt Angle.
Right.
In terms of just, she's gone from another sport / profession, whatever you want to call it, to a pro wrestler. And she's done really well. Although I will say this, what was with her weird eye makeup? They had some... WWE had some weird makeup stuff going on with the women. I thought Becky's was a bit odd, but then Ronda came out and she looked like Mantor from the 90s WWF.
Yep, absolutely. That was not good.
But whatever. Only other note is really good to see Natalya come out.
Yeah, that was awesome.
And she was wearing her father's jacket, and in interviews she's said that she needed it. She needed to go out there and kind of get away for a bit. And if that's what she was needing, good for them. Because I remember when she came out, I thought, should WWE be doing this? But different people deal with things in different ways. And I'm happy that she was able to get her mind off things and just enjoy the evening.
Yeah, same here.
Side note, the crowd... after the match, when the Bellas entered the ring to celebrate with Rousey and the fans all booed, I kind of laughed.
Yeah, that was funny. I saw an article on my Google feed of something where somebody on one of the wrestling sites, the article basically stated, it's really weird having the Bellas around again after not being around for so long. And the article goes on to say, and I'm just paraphrasing because I don't have it pulled up, goes on to say, if you've been a diehard WWE fan, you probably know who the Bellas are, and this probably isn't weird to you, but if you're just a casual fan and they just show up, then it might be a little weird.
I feel
they're going towards this whole Evolution, the all women's pay-per-view thing. So
yeah, which inevitably the Bellas will be a part of.
Yeah.
The thing... it's not the Bellas' fault specifically, because they did grow and get better over time.
Right.
But they were very much a big part of one of the worst eras for women's wrestling.
Sadly, yes.
And again, it's not just their fault. And they certainly improved and were able to put on some good matches, particularly with AJ Lee, who they keep mentioning, so I'm hoping she gets a match. However, considering who her husband is, who knows? But yeah, I've watched pretty much straight through, and I feel like it's kind of odd because they feel like they're from some forgotten bygone era, and to a certain extent, I feel the same way when I see Lita or Trish is coming back for the Evolution pay-per-view. Yep. And Lita's said it a few times that outside of Trish and a couple others, she didn't get to work with women who took wrestling as seriously or as into it as the current generation of stars.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, she's right.
Oh, yeah.
Because in her days, it was 1 minute bra and panty matches or wrestling mud match, that kind of thing, where it was not real good. And so, again, it feels a little weird to see them with the current generation every once in a while. I guess we have some main event to talk about.
Yeah, I guess.
Which, holy cow, so, yeah, that happened.
Oh.
So, the outcome we all knew.
Of course.
We all knew. But, man, the way they did it, I enjoyed it.
I did too.
I don't care that they manipulated me into cheering through having Braun out there and getting him roughed up and involved. Mm-hmm. But it all worked.
Oh, yeah.
I thought it was... And the fans tried to derail everything, but they couldn't, because this was well done. And I wish WWE was this well written and thought out all the time.
Yeah. And I read articles online after SummerSlam saying, oh, Vince said this was always going to be the outcome. There was no other outcome that this was going to be. Roman was going to win no matter what. Yada, 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 yada. This is the best Roman's looked. Against Brock, anyway. But I really dug this. They both got their moves in. Even with Braun coming out and doing the whole interruption thing. Well, he didn't interrupt, but you know what I mean.
He came out. I liked what they're having him do. He comes out and he flat out tells everybody, "Listen, when you win the match, I'm going to cash in."
Yep.
And I liked that. It's different from most of them, and it makes sense coming from Braun. And then it made sense that he got involved after Roman tries for a spear on Lesnar,
right? And
he smacks Braun, and then Lesnar just goes out and beats the crap out of Braun.
Yeah.
And I loved the throw of the briefcase. He just tosses it so hard it smashes into the TV wall. Yeah, it broke a part of the TV wall. Just really well done. I don't have a complaint, and they found a really smart way to get around. If Roman had just won and won cleanly, I think there would have been a lot of boos and the usual reaction.
Right.
But no, they found a really smart way to do it.
Yep. And I love that Braun's like, I'm not going to come in the back door. I'm just going to come kick your front door in, and no matter what, I'm going to bulldoze right through you. And what I think was super cool about this was he tried to cash in. The bell never rung.
Well, you're going into Raw, so...
Oh. Wait, wasn't there?
No.
Oh,
okay,
at
anyway. SummerSlam, he was out cold because he got F5'd.
Right.
He got beaten with a chair on the outside.
That's right.
And Brock broke his briefcase, so...
Yeah, that's true.
He was not, not cashing in then. So we'll just go into it now for Raw. Raw, by the way, really entertaining.
This was my favorite Raw of the year so far.
They opened with Roman doing solid work. I'm going to try to make this a little quicker.
Yeah.
It's going to synopsize everything.
Yep.
Roman does the promo, which I thought was well done because he builds up Finn Balor, and which of course brings Corbin out to his whininess, as you mentioned earlier, and Kurt makes the match. We have Lashley come out and beat Baron, which... I don't know where they're going with Corbin, but it was nice to see Lashley, who had the night off the previous night.
Yep.
Not to mention they gave him a real finisher, so not just a vertical suplex.
Yep.
Whatever. We had the Banks, Bayley, and Ember Moon versus the Riot Squad match, which they've been doing this for a while. Just come up... What they need to do is just have a women's tag division. It would help the fact that so many of the women just aren't on TV. You had Banks and Bayley, who might be the two best performers in WWE, not at the pay-per-view.
Yeah, really.
Asuka's been MIA for about a month, or however long, and you have all these people that they don't have room for storylines. Just make a tag division already. I mean, it feels like that's the solution, and it would make people care about these matches a lot more, but whatever. Speaking of matches I don't care about, I don't know what to say. I like Hunter. I like The Undertaker. I didn't care about this entire thing. They don't need to justify having Undertaker fight Triple H. They can just do it.
Yeah.
The two of them have been around. It was well done. I give Hunter credit. He did a really good job setting up the match and everything else. It's just the two of them have been around and now long enough. They've got enough cachet. Just have them set it up. It doesn't matter. Well. Next, Dean and Dolph, which we had Seth come out with Dean. I don't know if this is like I say, I don't know what's going to happen with Dolph at this point, but he loses this one. This wouldn't be the last time we see Dean and Seth together.
Because, holy shit. This was my Raw.
Then we have the Elias Kurt Hawkins segment, which, the hell?
Yeah.
First of all, I forgot yet again that Kurt Hawkins was on the roster. Yeah. Second of all, what are they doing with Elias? I have no idea. They just haven't beat Hawkins, which fine, that makes sense, but next we get another baffling segment, because we get the Authors of Pain versus Titus Worldwide for what feels like the 800th time in the past 2 months. Mm-hmm. I don't care. Authors of Pain win. What a surprise. Yip-de-doo. Next, we have Steph v. Steph. This was actually not a bad segment. I thought... So, Alex seems to really hate Rousey on the mic. Rousey was pretty good here.
I have to say, though, since you watched the full show, and I could watch the full show if I want to on my cable channel.
So you didn't know about some of these.
Please
tell me the Titus Worldwide versus AOP was not on the Hulu thing.
It was not on Hulu.
Oh, good.
You're lucky. That's why I'm like, wait a minute. The last time I saw Titus, he was doing a promotional thing for charity or like...
Nope. They had a match.
Yeah.
They had a match and they had a backstage segment, and I didn't really care about either. Rousey shouted out a bunch of people. By the way, she doesn't mention any of the heels, and also none of the heels get to celebrate with Rousey, so I guess they weren't responsible for the women's revolution at all.
Oh, that sucks.
They just all looked after Steph. No, I know why they do it. It's just kind of funny.
Yeah.
Whatever. Next we had... So, the Revival faced the B team on the pre-show. The Revival lost and looked stupid at the same time because they hit their finisher on one of the B team, the Shatter Machine, which, by the way, one of the best tag team finishers in forever. But whenever the heels get a huge advantage, actually, whenever any team gets a huge advantage like that and they lose, they just look like idiots. So they had 2 single matches here, and I didn't care that the Revival won both of them. They beat Scott Dawson beats Bo Dallas, and then Dash Wilder beats Curtis Axel. Whatever, this is going to lead to a rematch, but eh.
Yep.
And off to the final segment, because I'm just going to skip to that. So this is what everybody's talking about. I didn't see it coming at all. First of all, the match between Finn and Roman, need to mention that. The people who hate Roman... find him boring, that kind of thing. This is yet another really good match out of him.
Yeah, it was.
For a guy that everybody hates, he just consistently puts on very good matches. And I understand disliking him, because God knows he gets pushed to the moon over guys that deserve it probably more, like a Finn or Kevin or Sammy, whoever, guys who have been wrestling since they were 16.
Yeah.
So I understand the vitriol, but you can't say he's not entertaining, because he put on a good match here. Balor looked like $1 million through the match. Like, he legitimately looked like he could have won about 10 different times.
Yep, I thought he was going to win at first. Like,
I was hoping. No offense to Roman, but I'd really like to see Finn get his shot with the belt again.
I want to see Finn get it before the end of the year. I want to see Finn as champion again. But with how long they've dragged out Roman's Universal Championship chase, let the guy defend it and win it for a little while. It is about time. Like, don't get me wrong, I absolutely want Finn to have it. Like, hey, maybe we get Finn versus Owens at some point this year. Who knows? I don't know. Yeah. I'm just saying that it needs to be where it is now, and thank God Raw basically pointed out with Angle before he left. There ain't no way in hell, bro. It's going to be a long time before Brock Lesnar gets a shot.
Lesnar, so some behind-the-scenes stuff. Lesnar was advertised for the show, but wasn't on it.
Wasn't on it, yeah.
So I don't know if he no-showed. I don't know what, but it seems like he's probably done with the company, at least for quite some time.
Quite some time, yeah, because from what I read was that after SummerSlam, he got on a plane and flew home.
So, fun stat for everybody, anyone paying attention. This is the first time the title has been defended on Raw since Kevin Owens versus, I think it was, it was Roman, I believe, in January 2017. Over a year.
That is way too damn long.
So it was about time.
Yeah.
And wow, for this finish. So Roman wins with the spear. Boo, go Finn, whatever. But this was really well done, with Braun just booting Roman down.
Yep.
And he cashes in. JoJo goes to make the announcement. She makes it. And we're waiting for Reigns to get up so they can ring the bell, but they never get a chance. Because before Reigns can get up, the Shield's music hits.
Oh, yeah.
And Dean and Seth come out. Now, by the way, I was half expecting the possibility that Dean and Seth start beating up Roman and somehow there's a new alliance.
I don't want that to happen. No.
I don't know what it is. Maybe it's the change to his look, but there's something about Ambrose. I just seem to expect him to turn on everybody, but we'll see. I could be totally wrong. Like I say, it might just be the look.
Yeah.
I'm not used to seeing him looking
short
like
hair.
that. Yes, yeah.
Short hair, bulked up. Yeah.
In any case, they beat down Braun and
they triple power bomb him.
Well, I really liked that Braun had a couple of instances where he fights out. And he fought a bit in the ring, and he fought out of their first attempt at the power bomb. But then, they're able to do it, and that's how we go off the air. It was a really good ending, too. I know I skipped over a lot of the show, but it was quite good. Fine. Like, the opening promo was solid.
Yeah.
The Corbin Lashley stuff was solid. The Steph stuff was solid. There was some skippable stuff. Obviously, Hulu thought so, too.
Oh, yeah.
By the way, did Hulu have the Triple H promo?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it did.
I mean, it makes sense to try to hype an extra, what is essentially going to be an extra pay-per-view, it looks like, with the Australia thing, but...
I mean, okay, so here's the thing. I look at, the Saudi Arabia one now, and now Australia. I look at these as something for... I hate to say this, and he's essentially a part-timer now. Any of the Attitude Era stars, or any of the stars that started 15, 16, John Cena, whatever. Any of those people who are now not consistently on main roster, they're on the main roster, but they're not consistently on television or consistently at house shows. That's what I view these super special pay-per-views as, is for them to do something to get, like, this match, this Taker Triple H match. It feels like the return of the Attitude Era. That's really what it feels like to me. And I like that they're doing that without hampering the current storylines or the current superstars, however the hell long they've been.
I wouldn't have liked it if Undertaker came back and he buries Finn Balor or Baron Corbin or Roman or any of the full-time guys. Or if Hunter comes back and wins the belt or something. I don't like that. Having said that, it's pretty obvious Cena's going to squash Owens in his match.
Sadly, yes.
Because Owens looks like...
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, anyway. I like these, though. I like the idea of just these extra things. I'll be curious to see if there's any belt changes or anything. Because the Saudi one, I said it then that I enjoyed it, having these little extra things. It's nice little bonus for people with the network, that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. But there wasn't a lot of stakes in it. We'll see what they do here. So,
yeah, I don't think these special matches are going to have a lot of stakes in them because, as I said, they're supposed to be special matches. They're supposed to be, like you kind of said. I think you said this with the Saudi Arabia match. It's to grab that part of the market. It's to grab that. You know, that's like when we were talking about Jinder, who we've all but forgotten about for now. Thank God. You know, he was to grab a specific, you know, the Indian market or the whatever market, even though the guy's Canadian. You know, but it is what it is. Like, you don't bring back the Great Khali just to have, you know,
you do it to torture longtime fans like me.
Well,
and
yes,
so I can weep openly.
Yes, but I'm saying you don't bring that guy back or this guy back for the North American market. You bring it back so the people from the market that person is from, or that character is from. So
you heard it here first. Miz versus Daniel Bryan in a Punjabi prison match. Book it. We already talked about the opening segment to SmackDown, which was very, very good. Mm-hmm. We already talked about Jeff Hardy comes out in it for his match against Orton and absolutely beats the crap out of him. Yep. Orton ends up winning, by the way, by DQ, but Jeff just pummels the crud out of him.
Yep.
After the match too, we got the we had the Iconics on TV again.
And they won. One of them won.
Dave Meltzer must be happy. Oh, well, anyway.
I read that article.
I don't want to get into that. All I'll say is this. Meltzer said something really stupid. He apologized for it, and I feel like that should pretty much be the end of it. He said something dumb. I think most people know what he was trying to say.
But he worded it incorrectly.
Yeah, it was worded real badly. And he got jumped on, and kind of deservedly so. But, let it go.
Now all I can think of is he's going to get fired from his own podcast for something he said 6 months ago. 6 months down the line, he's going to get fired from his own podcast for something he said.
No, that's Papa John, but Papa John's sensitivity training didn't take. So whatever. We had those. And I'm going to skip forward again to we have Becky come out. Becky's trying to get the fans to turn on her. It didn't work, and they keep fighting. There's they do for the first time I can remember. They do a women's feud where the rest of the locker room comes up to separate two women. We've seen it with the guys. Remember with Brock and Roman?
Taker. Brock and Taker is the one that I remember the most. Yeah,
and
it happens with the men all the time. I think this is the first time ever in my lifetime that I've ever seen the women locker room empty out into the arena to stop two women from going. Like, I've never seen that before, ever.
Yeah.
I don't, like we've said already in this episode, women's wrestling, from the time that we were born to now, has been bikini matches, this matches, that matches, whatever. Only in the last maybe 5 or 6 years has it really turned into an actual full-time sports entertainment thing, more emphasis on the athleticism.
Well, actually, wrestling, yeah.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, the more sport aspect of it than the entertainment aspect of it. I don't think I've ever seen the women's locker room empty out, ever.
So, speaking of the locker room emptying out, there's no disrespect meant to Andrade, Cien Almas, and Vega, because I think they are Almost is very good, and I think he can go a ways with this. But for the love of God, when Rusev's contract is up, he needs to leave.
Yeah,
he and Owens should probably just go back to the independents where they can be the top guys easily with their talent and everything else. Rusev, the fans have been behind him forever, and for some reason they just do not want to do anything with the guy. I don't know what. I don't know if somebody's mad at him. I mean, I guess so. It's probably the same sort of thing as with Owens. They just, the certain people don't like him, and so it doesn't matter how much the fans like him or how talented he is. They just don't want anything to do with him. Whatever. We get the AJ and Joe promo I mentioned, which was delightful.
Yep.
Joe was oof. AJ's great, by the way. I said it before. I like to say this about wrestling, but it takes two to tango. And if AJ is not doing a good job, then it doesn't matter if Joe's doing a good job. So I want to give credit to him too. But again, Joe has just been fantastic. Carmella mentions that she's getting a rematch next week. Oh, joy. And we end with the match I alluded to during the pay-per-view where the New Day wins the belts off the Bludgeon Brothers. I just want to point out that the match was way more physical than I expected, especially considering Rowan got, I think it's a torn pec or something. It's something ridiculously painful.
Yeah.
And he does all these crazy things, including running through the barricade at one point. It's like, jeez, the hell?
And I mean, Xavier Woods, who the hell thought he could jump that far across the ring?
So when they let him have him wrestle, Woods is just fantastic.
He is, yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, that was a great ending match for SmackDown. They're, like you said, their highlights, lowlights. The beginning and ending of SmackDown after SummerSlam was amazing. It was just great setup, but also great character work on all of these people's parts. The Shield on Raw, absolutely love that, obviously, because as I've said in the last 3 weeks,
it's the most excited I've been after a Raw in a while.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
And I'm curious where all this stuff goes. I don't know where Seth and Dolph go. I don't know where, who's the New Day going to feud with next. I'm really curious and interested in the Charlotte-Becky feud on SmackDown. On Raw, what are they going to do with, how's Braun going to respond to the Shield, et cetera, et cetera. So there's all these fun questions, not the shitty, depressing questions like what the hell are they doing?
Like what the hell are they doing? Why the hell are they doing it? Blah 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 blah. I'm gonna stop watching. The podcast is gonna end. We're never gonna do it again. Yada yada yada.
That's not us that say that.
Well, it's you at times.
What? I've never said that. Bullshit.
Not on this show anyway. But it's
wow, I think my fee per podcast just went up on the other shows.
What fee?
Well, that's what I mean. Now I'm going to have to institute one just for that.
I don't think so. It's just so it's this whole last 2 weeks has reinvigorated my enjoyment of the current content, and I love it. I can't wait. We've already done part 1 of Ms. and Mrs., which is the first 4 episodes. Part 2, which is the final 2, will be coming at some point. I'll say this. You probably haven't watched it yet. Episode 5 is basically a mix of WrestleMania.
I watched it.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I watched it. So I watched Raw live for the first... Well, actually, no. I usually watch it live, actually. So I watched Raw live, and I stayed up afterwards, and Ms. and Mrs. was on.
Cool.
So there. Blah, showed you.
Right. Well,
but yeah,
it's kind of hard to watch Raw and then watch Ms. and Mrs. since it's on Tuesdays after SmackDown.
Oh shit! Okay, sorry, it was after SmackDown. Whatever.
Gotcha.
I saw it after one of them. Oops. I don't even know what day it is anymore. Right? Yeah, wrestling's way more fun when you can get lost in it, and
absolutely,
that to me is where I'm at again. So
yeah. And with me, I can't wait to see what the Shield and Braun do. If there's going to be any more to that, I'm super excited for Ronda to see what else she does. You mentioned earlier, like, her style. We haven't seen that kind of a style in a long time. I think that's why I like her, is because of her UFC MMA fighter style, because not a lot of people in WWE have that kind of thing. That's the whole point.
I'm so waiting for Ronda Asuka.
Yeah, I agree.
Two people who have... Asuka has the sort of striking style with her wrestling, but she's also done... She's also done forms of MMA, that kind of thing. So I'm really curious how they'll mesh. I feel like that's a matchup I'm just waiting to see sometime.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. Except before that, I want to see Asuka versus Kairi Sane. I've been wanting to see that since the first Mae Young Classic when I saw Kairi for the first time. That would be cool. Speaking of the Mae Young Classic, it's coming back. So we'll be doing that as well again. So
Yay.
Yay! I think that's going to do it for us. What would you rate SummerSlam 0 to 5?
4.5?
I gotta give it a 5.
I almost... Okay. Fair. Yeah, all right. I mean, I was entertained, and that's the... it wasn't perfect. There was stuff I didn't like, obviously, but I was entertained the whole time, and I enjoyed myself. And combined with the stuff afterwards, I'm interested, engaged, and excited. So, yay. It did its job.
I'm giving it a 5 simply for the several moments that I mentioned already that I absolutely loved. I think this was the most well put together pay-per-view event this year, as far as from beginning to end. Yes, there are a few, like we've already said, go to the bathroom, take a nap matches, but there are always going to be those. However, from the first match to the last match, there's only one thing I may have flipped with as far as where the placement of the matches were. I almost would want to flip Ronda and Alexa and Braun and Reigns if Reigns wasn't going to win, which obviously he was. But after the Ronda-Alexa match, even though Alexa got ragdolled the hell out of, I almost thought that was the way you should go off the air before Raw.
I would like to see AJ get more of the limelight because he is a champ, but if you're gonna, but alternatively, if they're gonna end the match in a DQ, which of course is what they did, then it's not so bad to have it a little earlier. It'd be nice if he headlined maybe the next pay-per-view or maybe the Australia thing or something, because he really deserves it. He's been champ forever and he's done a great job, and he's been the only champ on TV for, as I mentioned before, since January 2017. Jeez.
Yeah. Almost a year and a half, yeah.
Ugh.
Ridiculous. But, now that Roman is
trying
here
to predict
again.
the future, eh?
You never know.
I feel like, you were mentioning it before. I do agree that Roman should get a decent little run with it. But I also feel like Braun needs to win it with the briefcase at some point.
Absolutely.
Because if the guy's not going to win and he's got the briefcase, when is he ever going to win?
Yeah, exactly. And, they're not going to pull a Corbin with Braun.
No.
That's what I was mentioning earlier about the Raw match where he was going to cash in. The bell never rung, so he couldn't have lost the briefcase, and then the Shield comes in and kicks all kinds of ass, which is amazing. But yeah, no, what is it, like a contract that's good for at least the next year?
It's until the next Money in the Bank, so he's got time.
Right. So he's got time. However, I would like to see him do it this year at some point, whether it's Roman, whether it's whoever.
They really bury poor Finn. He wins it, and they beat him after.
Don't do. That guy just can't get a break.
Except his shoulder.
Right. You can send all hate mail on Twitter to Ryan at Nightbeat.
On Twitter, yes.
I just said that.
I know. Where can the audience find you?
God, I'm at TF2 and Mike on Twitter. You can also follow at Geekcast Radio and at This Week in Geek. Lower your shield, surrender your listenership, and unleash the geek in you. We will catch you next time here on Mayhem Mics, here on the Geekcast Radio Network, and This Week in Geek.
Oof, haven't heard that in a long time.
You just made the list. All clear.